Hello, and welcome to the next interview in our Publish with Purpose series, where we interview authors we know who have been very intentional about their writing and their work's purpose. I'm Tara Alamany, the founder of Emerald Lake Books, and today we're talking with my friend Charlie Mastroni, author of Why Not God? Rethinking Our Beliefs About Truth and Faith. So, Charlie, welcome.
Thank you. Well, glad to be here.
It's nice having you here. So, why don't you go ahead for those who don't know you and introduce yourself? Tell them a little bit about
Well,
you and your book.
my name's Charles Mastroni. I wrote the book Why Not God? Because I'm a Christian author, and I feel like in today's culture, it's very difficult for Christianity to be get a fair hearing in Christian, because there tends to be a lot of negativity towards Christianity. And some of the people who preach it online and so forth, and some of the people who preach it on television, some may do better, some may do worse, but I don't think it's a fair hearing necessarily that it gets. So I wrote the book as kind of a bridge to invite people to reconsider their beliefs about God and about the world in general, because our beliefs really are what drive us. And they largely lay in our subconscious. And we tend to think, well, that's who we are. That's just the way I am. That's just who we are. But our beliefs can be true and our beliefs can be false about many different things, including God. And so I'm asking people to rethink and kind of do some, not navel gazing, but self examination, like Socrates says, an unexamined life is not worth living. So to invite people to really examine their life, especially for people who are searching and looking for more meaning in life, I believe God is the answer to that because he's our maker. And so I wrote the book as a bridge to help people find their way to considering God if they don't already believe, or to believe more in God than what they already do, and maybe to clarify some things to help them in their faith. So that's why I wrote the book.
Okay. And was there a specific incident that prompted you to write it, or just over time something that grew and became a necessity to sit down and write?
Well, um, I I'm 71 years old. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but I've seen a lot of changes in our culture, from a culture that was driven by basically Christian, Judeo-Christian values. In my youth, I was born in 54. So I saw the changes that came in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And I saw how the revolution of the 60s, although there were some good things in it and some necessary things that needed to be questioned and changed in our culture and in the country, um, I also noticed that every traditional value eventually is being thrown out, from family to God to many other things. And I've seen those changes and they creep along in our culture. And our culture is a very, very huge influence, whether we're aware of it or not, on what we believe. It's one of the biggest influences as to what we believe. And it can lead, if you believe things that are good and true, I think it can lead to a happy life. If you believe things that are false, it can lead to a very miserable life and a life of hopelessness. And so that's really what prompted me to write the book, that from preaching and just seeing what goes on in the culture and what I've experienced in my life.
Who would you say is your ideal reader for this book?
Ideal reader is somebody that's looking for a solid foundation, who doesn't mind, who is intellectually honest and can re-examine themselves, which is a quality a lot of people don't have. A lot of people want to express themselves. This is very popular these days. Everybody wants to express themselves, but very few people examine themselves and try to have truth and integrity. They just kind of assume that they do, and it's not always true. And I think people do sincerely and strongly believe things that aren't true. And so I'm asking people to examine them based on what the changes in the culture I've seen since I was young. And I think it's a worthwhile goal for anybody to do, whether they end up believing in God or not, which I hope they do. But I think it's a worthwhile exercise for people to do. Yeah.
Okay. And so this book was published in April of 2026. What did you hope to achieve when it was first published?
Well, I hope to get an audience, a wide enough audience where some people would see it and say, thank you, this really changed my life. This helped me live a better life. This helped me come to God. This helped me understand certain things that I didn't understand before about myself and about the world. So I was hoping to achieve that. And to do that, you got to get the book in front of a lot of people. And so you do have to sell a lot of books, but I really didn't write it for the money. I've been blessed with a comfortable retirement, and so I don't need to do it. But it's something that I think needed to be done, and it's something that would really help people if they read it and consider what it says.
So
Yeah,
at this point, it's a couple of months after the book's release. How has it been received so far? What kind of feedback have you been hearing?
I've been getting good feedback on it. Um, a lot of people I asked to read it didn't necessarily complete the reading yet, but from what they've read so far, they really liked the ones that have read it, including my son, which I was very, very happy about. um, saw it very favorably, very positively, and it was thought provoking. And that's the intention, is to provoke thoughts and to kind of open up that part in our spiritual life that rarely gets addressed because we're always so busy doing whatever it is we're doing or reacting to whatever we're reacting. And so that's what I was very pleased about so far. I've gotten very positive feedback on the book, so that's encouraging.
Sometimes when you're asking people to kind of examine themselves, you get some pushback as well. Have you had any pushback, or has it all been embracing the concepts?
Not yet. Not yet. My daughter has given me more pushback. She said, I read the book and she does not agree with me with a lot of things, especially politically, but that's okay. It's whether your beliefs are on a firm foundation or a shaky foundation. That's really what matters a lot. And that's what she wanted to talk with me about. But my daughter's always disagreed with me about a lot of things. So that's okay. And we plan to have a good talk about it. She'll be visiting soon.
Yeah, I think that's the nice thing too, is that it's something that opens dialogue. You know, whether somebody
Mhm.
agrees with what you're stating in the manuscript in the book or not, it gives a place for open, honest communication and a sharing of ideas. And I think that's
Yes.
often how our beliefs are tested, is when we have to share our ideas and defend them or see how they stand up against other ideas. So I think that's been one of the things I've been really pleased with the book is just been the fact that it does become a starting place for those conversations.
It does. Yes, it does. That's the hope.
Hmm. So what
Yeah.
surprised you the most about this whole process? Do you have a lesson that's useful to any new authors who are thinking about doing something with their own book?
Yes. Be prepared for an editing process that is actually beneficial, but sometimes hard to take. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing because somebody looks at the book and what's written on the page as how it affects the reader, how it would be interpreted. And I think writers always do this anyway, but you're kind of interpreting how it's going to land on the reader from your own perspective of things. Not necessarily that you're right, but just you're cautious about how you phrase things, how you state things, if you're making a cogent presentation of ideas, but you don't always know how that's going to land with the reader. And to have an additional person look at it and react to it and see how it lands it's a very beneficial thing. So that was one thing that was surprising. The second was um, when I was confronted with, you're a new author, and who the heck is supposed to listen to me? I'm a new author. Who the heck's supposed to listen to me? So marketing the book and getting it in front of people is a secondary task that you have besides writing the book. And there are firms that can help do that, but you have to be careful that they're legitimate because some of them promise the moon and flatter the living daylights out of you with their comments about your book, which is very flattering. But I take it as flattery and not in salesmanship, not necessarily as um, it's an opportunity for them to get a book to sell. If they see value in it, that's fine. But it's a practical thing. And I came from a business background. I was a buyer for many, many years on a global level. for major pharmaceutical company, and I did large contracts for them. So my business background kicked in, and I realized that after you write the book, it's a marketing endeavor. And some companies can help you do that. You can try to do it yourself, combination of both. But that is a rude awakening to some degree because you put a lot of effort into the book and you think, whew, I finally did that. I finally got it out there. And then you got to get it out there. I mean, out there in front of people. And that's not going to happen automatically, you know. So it's part of the process, and you just have to. That's the reality of things. And if you think your book can help people, and you got to get in front of people and get some buzz going and uh, get some traction. And once it gets enough traction, hopefully it'll start going by word of mouth after that. But it's a gap to get to that point.
Yeah, I often will comment about the fact that marketing is a journey, not a destination. It's not something that is just one and done. It's something that you have to keep at, and
Right,
when you stop marketing the book, it's going to stop selling. So, if you want the book to be successful, you have to be committed to taking action on a regular basis to keep it visible to
right.
readers and make it relevant.
Mhm.
So, do you have any plans to write another book, or what's next for you?
Actually, I do.
You do.
I did not start it yet, but I know what it's going to be about. It's going to be about the book of Genesis, especially the creation story
Hmm.
and the effects, the truth that's in that book, which I believe it's true, and what it has to say about human nature. I think this will teach us a lot about ourselves. I've learned a lot reading that and trying to understanding and preaching about it over the years. And I think it's things people need to hear, and it will help them understand human nature in general and their own nature in particular. And I think I have a title for it, but I'm not going to say it right
Okay, that's fine. So, do you have anything else you'd
now.
like to share before we wrap up?
um, no, just if you've been bugged to write a book and you've done this self-examination, says, do I really have something that people could use and I could really say that would help the world in general? I look at it as spreading salt and light, like Jesus says in scripture. It's spreading wisdom and truth. I think that's part of what salt and light is. Not all of it, but that's part of it. And if you're writing to have an axe to grind, I think that's a mistake because but if you're writing with something you think the world needs to hear or would help people understand things better, I think that's a good reason to write a book, and I would encourage people to do so. It's just it's harder than you think. You know, we have the thoughts in our heads, but getting them down on paper in a cogent manner for readers to understand, uh, it's a worthy endeavor, and it is work to do it. It's a lot of mental work, but it's a worthy thing to do, and
Yeah.
it feels good when you're done. That it does.
Except you're not done because you've got marketing.
I've got marketing, but the writing part,
Yeah.
that's not easy. Yeah.
No, it's not. Well, Charlie, thank you for joining us today and sharing a bit about your
Okay.
journey. And it's been a
All
pleasure
right.
working with you on Why Not God. And I hope people will take the opportunity to pick up a copy and take a look at it and see
All
what
right. Very good.
conversations it sparks for their family and their friends.
Okay. Good.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Until next time, this is Tara Alemany signing off for Emerald Lake Books.